What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another exciting episode of Switch Talk 2, the perfectly pocket sized podcast for fans of this hybrid console that has stolen our hearts and minds. Welcome back. I'm HypeCaster, your one and only host for today. I'm doing a solo recording. That's right. We have David and Clay MIA, but that is okay because today we're talking about something very exciting, the Kirby Air Rider's global test ride. So there was a demo that came out basically where they were testing the servers, giving people a preview of what Kirby Air Riders was going to be. And it was quite an experience. I want to share what I thought about it. But first, we're not going to skip the get to know you question because I wanted to talk about our favorite racing games of all time. For me, I have to go straight to Need for Speed Underground 2. I played the hell out of it on Xbox. It was just fantastic. The vibes were off the charts. There was something addicting about upgrading, and the actual mechanics were just amazing. The sense of speed, the drifting, and everything you could do in that game, and it was a looker. As it over time, it probably aged. I'm sure it's been a while since I've looked at it or went back, but it has to be Need for Speed Underground 2. It has to be my top. A second runner up has to be one of the arcade titles. I don't know if you've played it. Burnout Revenge or Burnout 3 Takedown. Is it Burnout 3 Takedown? The Burnout series, some people love Burnout Paradise, but Burnout holds a special place in my heart. The chaos, not only the racing and the sense of speed. You could customize your soundtrack in that game, and I would put like songs that I just jammed out to, and you would smash and race. It was very destruction based game. And then they had this whole mode where you would launch into an intersection and try to cause as much damage as possible, like racking up the dollar amount of damage caused. And that was like the goal, and you could blow your car up. It was fantastic. Um, I wanted to say SSX Tricky too, as being a racing game, but it's snowboarding because that was just incredibly addicting. And of course, honorable mention again too is probably Forza Horizon. I'm gonna go with 3 or 4. It's kind of hard to choose between, but the beauty of these games, those Horizon series games where you start and they're really just showing off the graphical powerhouse nature of the console, and it's just like eye candy. And they play the intro video, and then they show like a supercar on the road, and then all of a sudden you are just in control and you don't realize that the cutscene is over, and you're like, this game is running right now, like I'm in control. It was absolutely fantastic. What a rush. Always remember that. So racing games are good, but today we're going to be talking about one of the premier holiday games for the Switch 2, Kirby Air Riders. So this game is coming out at the time that you're hearing this. It's probably almost out because it is a $70 game released $69.99, releasing on November 20th. So right in peak like Black Friday, everybody's spending money. People are buying Switches. They're like, should I get this game? So it's a hot commodity. And this is huge because, of course, Sakurai is behind the game, whose fingerprint is all over Super Smash Brothers series, making that absolutely fantastic. And now this game. So he wanted to revitalize Kirby Air Rider for a new gen, for a new system and a modern take. And we got our hands on it. I played it. For a little bit of a background, David is already a huge Sakurai fan. He's bought in and he did not jump into the global test ride demo, and he's going to buy it. I'm not so sure about Clay. I think he's a little bit more on the fence, but I'm pretty sure that he's mostly in. But I was really on the fence, and I wanted to know, was this for me? The biggest sticking point was the release of Super Mario Kart World very recently. I mean, this is the Switch's first year, and within months of release, we're getting a second big racing game, and I just don't know if I have the stomach for that. I I have a bad taste in my mouth because the Mario Kart World nostalgia of like, this is Mario Kart, you have to buy it. It's a premier title. It's going to be a main staple of your console for all these years to come, much like Mario Kart 8 was. That luster is gone. It just didn't deliver the long-term goals of like what you're looking to achieve. For me, I have the competitive nature in that streak, so I do want to go play online and I jump in from time to time, but I have no pool to keep going. Aside from getting, first place in every race and every cup, I don't feel a pull to go back. I unlock stickers, here and there that serve hardly any cosmetic purpose. And that's pretty much it. I mean, overall, after months of retrospect, overall kind of disappointed with World. It just could have been so much more. You look at other games that are so alive with their open worlds. You look at like the bar set super high, with things like Forza in an open world. Even Burnout Paradise, just like how it looks, how it's aged, it's a looker of a game, but it's so dead. Like the NPC or the characters that are around, you bump into them and they might topple over really quick and then go right back on track. Maybe you can knock some other cars over. Maybe they're just like set fixtures. There's not a whole lot of like destruction. I've seen cool things like you jump inside of a little trailer and you do a little destruction. You jump inside of a trailer that puts you into a helicopter, all good. But long term, what's so cool about this game that's going to keep me coming back? And now you want me to buy another racing game so early in the system's life cycle? I'm just not sure. So what you're seeing for the gameplay footage is drop dead amazing. This game graphically right off the bat, the most huge thing that I can say about it is it's jaw dropping. There are certain games that do this shimmer and water and reflection and light so well. Like if you go back to Super Mario Galaxy, there's this stage where you're riding a manta ray and the water is suspended in air and there's waves and it just looks beautiful, and that's an old game. I had just played Super Mario World Remaster, and that holds up. It's beautiful. And you look at other games like in Mario Kart, you look at Rainbow Road and just the glowing stuff and how beautiful things are. Again, a looker of a game. This game just is firing on all cylinders. I was playing initially the very basic level and I was like, this is looking great. Then you get to that second like water theme level and it's just like parting of the sea, like you're racing between two walls of water and it's just fantastic. You go into caves and they look amazing. Like there's particle effects and just light and shine everywhere. Things are blowing up and you're grinding on rails and you're shooting things, you're releasing a special attack, and it's just so much is going on visually in the game. It does get a little overwhelming. Depending on what mode you're in and what you're doing, it's like a lot is happening. And it is just a beautiful game. And it's cute. And it's Kirby. And in the online lobby, you have just Kirby goodness where Kirby's just walking around, which is always adorable. I got a chance to play with Shiro, and he's in the community. Amazing guy. Thanks, Craig, for hanging out. We just had an amazing time playing online, just walking around the lobby. I'm Kirby. He's a little hamster. And the cute level is just off the charts. It is a Kirby game. There's all these characters. It's dipping into that Kirby goodness for the theming of everything, and it just works. And I think the second thing to talk about, besides like the looks, the vibe, is the actual mechanics. This is an unintuitive racer. The the rider is on the machine. The machine is very unique. There's so many of them. So your rider has a different special attack. Every machine is very unique and handles differently. It has a different weight. It takes corners completely like differently depending on how you hold the button. And the machines are always moving forward. And what's interesting is they stop at a maximum speed, and that speed is kind of set. So I've noticed many times that I'm riding, and it'll like cap out at, I forget, maybe it was like 25, 30 miles per hour, which isn't fast, right? And it feels like that. It's like, oh, I'm cruising. I've reached my top cruising speed. And then you hold the single button and you can stop the vehicle, like kind of put the brakes on, which at the same time charges a boost. And then you have to hold it for a certain amount of time. There's an ideal peak time. And then you release the button at the right time and you can get like maximum boost. And then you go from a pause to a shooting out the corner. You can pull the stick left and right to drift along as you're moving as well. And you do that in combination with using the pause, brake, boost button. It's all the same thing at once. And that's how you take corners. That's how you try to reach like optimal acceleration is the name of the game. The other thing that you have to keep an eye on as you're doing this, because you, like any racer, want to be in first. It's like, well, what's at my disposal? I hit a fixed speed pretty quickly. And then what am I supposed to do? Well, you need to take advantage of the enemies on the track. When you shake the control, oh no, when you hit B, um, you suck in the enemy and it will automatically like suck it in and then pop it out forward like a projectile. So you want to be doing that. You want to be taking the corners effectively. So you want to learn the track and say, oh, I remember on this corner, I want to come out a little bit and then I'll hold the boost for this long. Then I'll turn the stick left into the left brake, then get that angle just right. Then I'll release. And mastering that on these maps is going to be, it's going to be crazy. There's so much depth to it, so much like nuance of how you're going to be controlling it. And then again, it changes. Each machine that you're racing is going to handle differently and take these corners differently. So not only do you have to learn the map, you get better, I guess, over time with controlling that machine. And it seems like a game that you'll get better and better at, like in very small ways. The more you play, the more you master. So there's a lot of depth to master. Another thing you do is you charge up your special, and then you can press the button once your meter is full, and it releases. Depending on the character, it's mostly like an all-out attack that has like a cone of damage in front of you. There are other racers, other riders that have different abilities, which is very interesting and very fun. So that's another way that you can attack other people. Now, there's two others. So this is the craziest part. By default, like it really wants you to periodically attack with a spin attack. And how you do that is you take the control stick and you wiggle it back and forth. You got to go like tick, 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 like left to right, left to right, left to right, like at least I would say like one, two, three, like three times. Very interesting because it's very disruptive because that's the control stick that you're using to turn. But at certain points, you're also supposed to be quickly moving it back and forth and jiggling it to spin attack. And this is one of the things, again, that you're trying to utilize. Someone's in front of you, or you're in the city trial mode, the open world, like little hub, the limited world hub, and you need to break something, jiggle the stick really quick. This is so cumbersome and unintuitive. Um, Again, Shiro agreed with me, and it was so odd to have to jiggle this stick mid race. It never felt great. Right away, I remembered, I was like, okay, this is so bad. There has to be an alternate control scheme, right? So I tried playing with Joy-Con, and I remember that Sakurai was saying you can play with one hand if you master this game. And it's like, oh, this is a way you could play. So I'm like, okay, there's got to be a single Joy-Con mode. It probably feels great to steer with the Joy-Con. You're holding the single button a lot to, slow down, decelerate, and then hold it to release and then boost. That's got to be the way where the Joy-Con has a motion shake, where you can shake, and that'll be the attack. I didn't see the option to change the control scheme at all in the demo. So I don't know if this is something that's coming later and they didn't introduce it, but the controls are just weird. Just even based on me talking for the last 5 minutes about what you're doing, it's not like any other racing game where you're just like, hold a button to decelerate for a second and then you're taking an apex of a corner and then drifting. Um, it's not that. It's just a wholly unique, very fresh experience about how to control a racing vehicle. It's like a glider thing, and you can catch air. And that's really awesome to feel where if you do it right, you can hold the stick back and like now you're gliding in the air. That feels amazing. And then you can hold forward and slam down, and that's kind of an attack. It's all very, very interesting. The last thing, again, what you're trying to do as you race is pick up items and use items. So, you have, I think there's like a sword and like, fireball stuff going on. So, pretty standard, pretty typical. Um, so, this is what you're doing. You're automatically going forward, reaching top speed. Oh, there's a corner. Let me hold the button and tilt so I can start to take the right angle. Let me hold the button down long enough. Now I'm going to release at the right time for a boost. Now there's people in front of me, and I'm gonna try to trail behind them because that opens up like an aerodynamic. It shows like a little line where if you're behind them, you're like boosting up. You're in the optimal path behind them, and then you're gaining speed on them because you're following so closely. It's I forget what the term is, but you're just on their butt, and you're like, I'm gonna get you, and you're following their path, and that's a way to speed up. You grab an item, you try to use it. Here's an enemy on the road, you suck it in, you try to projectile at them. Now I'm waggling my stick because somebody's really close to me, and I do a little, my whole machine spins, and I'm trying to attack. And then finally, I'm releasing that special, and like now I have like a cone of damage in front of me. It's clearing out, like, if I'm lucky, like one or two enemies, and that's the game. It's it goes from like a brisk pace to sometimes very fast. It's very demanding of your attention. Lots of depth there. So that's the game. Those are the mechanics of it. Unintuitive, fresh and new, and just like, I don't know how fun it is. The most fun I had, honestly, is probably unleashing the specials and catching some air. Um, I guess it felt a little good when I started to learn how to take a turn optimally, and I was like, "Oh, I know this turn." So, very interesting. I go back to Mario Kart World, right? Because it's like, well, what am I doing long term? This is a racing game. Is it gonna scratch that competitive itch? Unfortunately, on the online mode where you can group up with people, again, me and Cheryl got into a lobby. We were able to get into the city trial mode together, but we could not do a race where it's just like, whatever, six riders, and I'm one of them and he's the other. We couldn't just do a race, and that's what I wanted to do. I'm like, let's just race. Instead, well, I don't know if that's going to open it up for me to scratch that competitive itch. Like, will the game provide me an opportunity and the modes for me to feel like, hey, I gave it my best, I got good, I got first place against, I guess randoms, or maybe the option to group up with friends opens up later. Is this good from a I want a competitive racing experience, or at least a taste of it? I'm not sure. So moving on to the other big mode that was introduced with the demo was the city trial. There's a hub and it's a city and it's laid out and it has also a volcano and an underground structures and grind rails and things that will launch you up and things to glide off of, little ramps, items spread everywhere, and you go into a lobby and everybody's just go. And the whole point is to pick up items, and these different items, depending on which one you pick up, this symbol will be like, I forget them now, but it's like, here's added weight. And every time I pick up the weight icon, my machine, the next round, it may even happen like right then and there. Yeah, it might happen right there. It's upgrading your machine. So if you pick up all the acceleration icons that are scattered around the map, the more you pick up, the more acceleration you have. So pretty standard. It's like a collectathon, and everybody's battling for the items. And I'm sure later on you figure out where the best places are to go to find certain pickups. At the end of the allotted time, which I think is way too long, it's got to be over 5 minutes or at least five. It feels like it goes on too long. I could fight other people if I want to. I can, knock into them. They have other machines just lying around. So if I'm on the star, I can get into like the tank uh machine. I don't know why I would really want to during this open like little hub thing. At the end of the time that's allotted, four options come up and it's like, all right, everybody vote. And I'm thinking majority wins, right? So if there's a mini game option where you're going to be gliding off a ramp and trying to hit this big board with, trying to get as many points as possible, or all of us are going to fight a boss together. There's these four options, and it's not, I don't think it's majority rules. I don't think that whatever gets the most votes, that's what you do. What I think is happening is when you vote for one of the four activities, I think you're doing that activity. And I think it's basically like splitting the lobby of like, what is it, 12 or 16 players. It's you're in there and then you split up into four different mini games depending on what you chose. And then that's it. Then you go right back to the city mode. So you go play your game. The game that you pick should probably be aligned with how you've upgraded your vehicle in the last 5 minutes. So if I really got a lot of the, items that will help me with the glide mini game, maybe I do like the glide mini game. It didn't feel great. It's like I spent this time to go around the little hub, which is fun. It's a fun hub, but then it's like I collected the things. I did a really quick mini game, that took very short amount of time. Now we do it again. Now we go back into the city and I don't know if the upgrades were persistent. I really doubt it. I think you just start from scratch again and then you just go and collect items again. So that's the city mode. Like when I watched the direct and I saw the game, I was like, I'm most interested in the mini games. I almost wish like I could just keep doing the jump off the ramp and hit the point wall thing, or if I feel like doing the, I love the top down racing from the like isometric perspective. Like Kirby is known for mini games, and that's what I want out of the game, is to play all the fun mini games. So that's another thing that I could see as a selling point for people who like Kirby mini game stuff. And it looked like some very fun stuff you could be doing mini game wise. So yeah, very. I'll say very interesting, right? Um, Overall, I walked away from the global test ride saying I'm gonna wait on this one. I just don't see the long-term pool of how it's gonna be rewarding and pulling me along to, like, say, "Oh, just one more race." It's fun, it's beautiful. I don't know how fun it's gonna be, though, long term. Like, in the moment, I'm like, "Oh, I'm glad I'm doing this. I'm glad I'm, like, boosting along and all that." But to spend the $70 on a game that I'm sure has plenty of modes, plenty of depth. Oh, the other mode I wanted to quickly mention that was not in there that I think was gonna be really good was the road trip mode, I think is what it's called, where it's like kind of like a single player thing where it's like activity after activity and you just like keep going and branching out. Um, so there's going to be a lot of game there. Again, a lot of depth. I've only played 3 tracks and they were all like amazing and beautiful. There's going to be a lot to learn about them. So many writers, so many machines. And that did talk about like, unlocks and progression and like little things that you can do. But nothing that grabbed my attention. So I'm going to wait on this one. If you played the Kirby Air Riders Global Test Ride, let me know in the comments of the YouTube version if you think that it's a buy. If you're like me and it's just too soon for another racing game, too much of a hefty price tag, let me know that as well because I'm not sold after playing my fill of the demo, of the global test ride demo. Thank you very much for joining us for another exciting episode of Switch Talk 2. I don't know if we're going to be covering the Zelda Age of Imprisonment or Star Wars Outlaws, the Switch 2 version of that. But if not, the next show will probably be about the big one. That's right. Very soon, ladies and gentlemen, Metroid Prime 4 Beyond is coming out in just a few short weeks, and that one we're very excited of. The previews just came out. I've watched a couple. They're meandering a little bit. There's some talkative NPC companions that are going to be with you, so that's a surprise. I'm really have high hopes for that one, and I hope that it knocks it out of the park. We'll see you next time, everybody.